So probably the most common piece of the AGC that our customers use is the plotting. So I'll bring up the graph page with an F3, and visually that just brings up a visual representation of what we're about to plot. As you can hear from the screen reader, it'll work audibly without the graph being displayed. So if I just bring up
expression 1,
if I just bring up, thank you. If I bring up the data set here, I can enter in
selection,
anything I choose. Let's enter in a parabola. Whoops.
Backspace. Exponent 2.
And all I'm typing in is this is standard calculator notation. So this is x with a caret and a 2 for x squared. Again, exactly like the TI calculators. That beep means my plot is done. And so for the visual folks, you can see below here, there's an actual data set of all these plots. Each point is represented here as an x value. Then we have the y or f of x value. And it's kind of hard to see probably on the video, but there's actually the derivative and then second derivative also in the data set. So a lot of good information in this data. Galen, do you have a comment?
Yes, I do. Now, would you show us how a blind person would gain access to that information?
Sure. I'm just going to hit the tab key.
Data table 1,
and it
minus 10.0.
That plops me right into the x value, which is right now I'm at minus, negative 10, minus 10.0. And then I just use arrow keys to either go down or over.
Y equals 100.0.
So, for example, negative 10x equals an f of x of 100.
So y equals 100.0.
And I'll just keep going over.
Y prime equals minus 20.0.
So y prime or derivative is negative 20.
Second derivative is.
And that's blank because it's there's nothing next to it.
19.92. X equals minus 9.96. Y equals 99.202. Y prime equals minus 19.92. Second derivative is plus.
So that gives you kind of an idea of something with a little more data in it. And so anyway, to sum up your answer, this is I'm just using arrow keys to navigate through here. I can also copy and paste in here. If I hold down Shift, I can select an area, copy that to the clipboard, and then I could bring that into a spreadsheet or a homework document that I need to print out for my teacher or whatever.
And you can also can you send that off to the Tiger and emboss that graph?
The graph I can. The data set actually doesn't emboss from the calculator. If you want to emboss this, and specifically because right now it's in just regular text notation, and I would either need to translate this into literary or math braille.
But that's possible to do.
Oh,
that you could.
I would just copy and paste this into Word or WordPad or something, and then just print it off.
And then print it off and emboss that, as well as then you can also emboss the graph itself. Is that correct?
Absolutely. The graph you can emboss right from the calculator, and why don't we just do that? Well, actually, let me show you something before you emboss it. Let's say I'm in a classroom or I'm in an exam and I need on-the-fly information. If I hit F5, it'll actually do an audio plot of the graph itself. And
x equals minus 10.000. Y equals 100.000. Start of graph.
Okay, great. And what that kind of shows us is just a feel of the shape of the physical behavior of the expression. So, I'm not getting x equals whatever, y equals whatever. I can do that actually. I can step through the graph and other things like that with the arrow keys. But that gives me an idea of the shape. So I could perhaps have an earbud headphone and a laptop in class during a lecture and be working right alongside my classmates once I kind of build that skill of understanding what that crazy audio tone means to me. Yes. I have practice with that, but I have practice with that. So to print, I just go to File menu in Print, which is Alt F, and then this is also a Control P hotkey.
HP DeskJet 3320 series.
That's not so right now it's just pointing to my default printer.
Printers list.
So I'll just go down
and 3 Tiger Max.
Grab my Tiger Max, and I could do actually. This is a good point to describe the 4 types of output from the AGC. So there's 4 ways to get graphical information out of this. One is that audio plot we just heard. The second is to print this to an ink printer and to turn into my teacher or whatever, just an ink copy. The third way is to take that ink copy and puff it or have somebody wheel it for me. So there's that way, and then the final way is to print it to a Tiger embosser, which will just emboss it straight out of the calculator. So I can go in here and change my page formatting or whatever. One thing I will change is I'll add grid lines. So that way it adds just a little bit more information to my plot, and then I'll just print it off. I can change my title, all sorts of things.
Button. Print. Data table 1.
Okay, so now that I have this printout, this is kind of a way to develop those skills of understanding the audio plot. I can feel along this plot as I plot it again. So I hit that audio tone, I can follow along with my finger.